Hey, it's Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is Wade Neely. We're coming to you from our homes on this fine Tuesday afternoon, and we'll be here for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports topics. So get in, sit down, shut up, and hang on for the ride. Wade, what's up?
What's happening, Mo? Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody. Top 5 Tuesday is here. It is upon us. And yeah, we've got a big show lined up for today.
We do, in fact. In the second hour, we will have, as we typically do on Tuesdays, except when we don't, the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters, joining us for all things MTSU. We will have him right at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that. He has already sent in his cheat sheet. And in the next segment, we'll be joined by friend of the show, MAREN ANGUS-COOMBS of softball on SI. Talking a little Southeastern Conference softball because I saw a graphic yesterday that was pretty amazing as the Southeastern Conference continues to be. You know, the addition of Texas and Oklahoma was obviously a football move, but it has had far-reaching impact besides that sport, and we will be talking to MAREN about that and the oddity that I noticed that kind of prompted us to try to get her on here as they head toward postseason play and ultimately Oklahoma City. So looking forward to catching up with MAREN. It's been a while since we've had her on, and obviously it's always fun when we get Chip on. So fun show. In addition to those two guests, we'll also be talking a little Braves, a little Astros, both with big nights last night. A little more drama in one of those games than the other, but we'll be talking about both of those. Talking a little NBA playoff action. We've got a new head coach in the Nashville area. We'll talk about that here in the second hour as well. Get you caught up on the NBA playoffs that continued last night, continue tonight. And we'll be going on for, the next 2 months, I guess, Wade?
Yeah, it's like a 40 days and 40 nights type situation. And last night's games delivered and then some. After some stinkers over the weekend, we got the goods last night.
There we go. I don't guess they call it Black Monday in the NHL, or maybe they do, but there were some dismissals here over the weekend and into the start of the week. We'll get to a little bit of that. And again, it is Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I, in light of the NFL draft that starts Thursday in Green Bay, will be giving you NFL draft busts. So stick around for the final segment as we get into that. That should be a walk down memory lane, and maybe not so far in some cases. So should be fun to bring up some names that didn't quite have the impact that their teams would have expected them to. And obviously folks will be hoping that they aren't on one of these lists going forward.
Yeah.
Coming this weekend. So yeah, NFL draft busts is our Top 5 Tuesday. Looking forward to getting into that. Let's go ahead though and get into the show with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
You want it, boys and girls? Well, it's here. The Tuesday rundown is off and it is running. And that means we start with high school baseball scores from Monday night. Slew of games in the area did get played. And we start with Middle Tennessee Christian, who took care of Battle Creek last night 4-2. Beach picked up a 3-0 win versus Clarksville. It was Clarksville Northeast knocking off Springfield 11-1. Columbia picks up a 3-0 win versus Coffee County. Columbia Academy with a 10-0 win versus the Middle Tennessee Monarchs. Good Pasture 14-0 over Ezel Harding. Nolansville and Franklin. I don't know if did this one get played, Mo? It was 0-0 as a listed score. Surely that's not right.
I can't imagine that being right. I'm guessing that they didn't get it played because for all of the artificial football fields over here, I think all of the baseball facilities are natural grass. So maybe they got rained out.
Could have got rained out.
Rain out score.
Yeah, it could be rained out or could have been paused after a little bit, but 0-0 listed there. Giles County did go to Murfreesboro, did pick up a win versus Central Magnet last night, 5-3. Hampshire continues their strong season with an 11-1 win versus Culleoka. Mo's got you covered at mainstreetmurray.com with coverage there. Rossview picks up a 13-1 win versus Kenwood on the diamond last night. Independence with a 4-0 victory versus Page. It was Providence Christian 8, Franklin Road Academy 5, and Ravenwood took care of Brentwood last night 4-1.
In softball action on Monday, Murfreesboro Central with a big win, 20-0 over Battle Creek. Loretto edges Columbia Central 6-5. Columbia Academy edges Battleground Academy 9-8. Riverdale and Green Hill, no score. Middle Tennessee Christian defeats Providence Christian 1-0. It was Independence 19, Spring Hill nothing. Eagleville and Summit, no score. Zion Christian picks up a sweep of a doubleheader against Clarksville Christian, 6-5 and 10-3. In boys soccer action from Monday, Columbia Academy defeats Middle Tennessee Christian 3-1. Beach with an 8-0 win over White House. And in Major League Baseball action, as we mentioned, and we'll talk more about this later in the show, the Braves with a 7-6 win over the visiting St. Louis Cardinals that was closer than it should have been. Again, more on that later. The Astros with a big win over the Blue Jays, 7-0. We'll talk more about this one later because John Denton dropped a little knowledge on us, and we need to recognize him for it. So we will get to that.
That brings us into our schedule for today, and baseball action cranking up at 4 p.m. when John Overton heads to Antioch. At 4:30 now, it'll be Franklin Road Academy at Good Pasture. CPA is on the road this afternoon at Lipscomb Academy. Maplewood will welcome Hume Fogg this afternoon. Again, a 4:30 start time there. Lawson at MLK, and Glencliff will travel to Mount Juliet Christian. At 5 o'clock, Hickman County will visit Richland tonight. Big ball game there up in Linville. Also at 5, look for Webb School at White House Heritage, and a doubleheader on the campus of Zion Christian today as they host South Haven Christian. 5:30 start time for Tennessee Heat, who's at Trousdale County. 6 p.m. we'll see Stewart's Creek travel to Cookeville. Hampshire's on the road at Culleoka. Pope John Paul II will be at Davidson Academy. Fayetteville's on the road this evening at Ezel Harding. Look for Hollow Rock Brewston, who's at Houston County tonight at 6. Also at 6, it'll be Lebanon at Laverne, Franklin County at Lawrence County. Eagleville will travel to the Middle Tennessee Monarchs. Giles County is supposed to host Murfreesboro Central Magnet tonight now after they flip-flopped yesterday. Riverdale will be on the road at Oakland tonight. Cornersville traveling to Santa Fe. Blackman is at Siegel. Wilson Central visiting Smyrna tonight. It'll be Shelbyville at Spring Hill. And closing our 6 p.m. window will be Clarksville Northeast at Springfield.
At 6:30, it's the Battle of the Woods, Raven at Brent. Also, Columbia Central travels to Coffee County at 6:30. Kenwood goes to Dixon County at 6:30. Friendship Christian will host East Robertson. Page is at Independence. Franklin is at Nolansville, we assume, at 6:30. And Kirkwood is at Rossview. Also, Westmoreland travels to the Tennessee Heat, and Loretto will play at Mount Pleasant. 6:45 start for Clarksville at Montgomery Central. At 7, it's Greenbrier at Sycamore. Macon County hosting White House. Rockvale traveling to Middle Tennessee Christian. Gallatin is at Beach at 7. Mount Juliet is at Green Hill. Hendersonville hosts Liberty Creek. And at a time that we do not have, Centennial will travel to Summit. Softball action today. It's a doubleheader as Green Hill travels to Gallatin for a 4 o'clock start in the opener. Overton is at McGavock at 4:30. At 5, Davidson Academy goes to Ezel Harding. Summit is at Franklin at 5. Lewis County hosts Loretto. Greenbrier travels to Macon County. Independence is at Summit. Westmoreland goes north of the border, taking on Allen County of Kentucky at 5. At 5:30, Fairview is at Creekwood. Battle Creek goes to Franklin County. Eagleville is at Liberty Creek. That should be a good one. Riverdale is at Rockvale at 5:30, and Blackman goes to Tullahoma.
Other softball games beginning at 6 tonight. Franklin Road Christian is on the road at Clarksville Christian. Santa Fe visiting Frank Hughes. Shelbyville will entertain Spring Hill tonight. Also at 6, Mount Pleasant traveling to Summertown, and Laverne will be at Wilson Central. 6:30 first pitch for Stewart's Creek, who's at Cookeville, and the same for Oakland at Siegel. And closing our softball schedule is Cookeville at Smyrna. Got Cookeville listed twice, so make sure you check your local listings before you try and check out Cookeville in action. Got a big old batch of soccer games to tap into tonight. They kick off at 2 p.m. as Rockvale is on the road at Siegel. Zion Christian is visiting Franklin Classical at 4. Giles County will be at Murfreesboro Central Magnet at 5 p.m. Also at 5, it'll be Providence Christian at BGA. 5:30 showdown for Middle Tennessee Christian at Watertown. 6 p.m. start time for Waverly at Cheatham County. Also at 6, White House Heritage will be at Gallatin. Culleoka traveling to Loretto tonight. Lawrence County will do the same on the road at Tullahoma. At 6 p.m., capping our 6 o'clock kickoffs, it'll be Lawson at Antioch. 6:30 showdowns for John Overton at Cane Ridge and Spring Hill at Lincoln County. 7 o'clock window now. Riverdale will be at Blackman. Columbia is on the road at Coffee County. Smyrna traveling to Cookeville. Laverne at Lebanon this evening. Wilson Central will visit Macon County. Page will be on the road tonight at Ravenwood. Battle Creek will come to Linville for a 7 o'clock game. We'll broadcast that one this evening on Pulaski Citizen Live. Should be a fun matchup between those two district foes. 7 p.m. start time for Oakland at Stewart's Creek. That closes your boys soccer action for tonight. Major League Baseball schedule, Cards and Braves get it on at 6:15 in Atlanta. You can see it on FanDuel Sports South. Jays and Astros at 7:10. You can see that one locally. NBA action, the Grizz will trot out to attempt a victory or at least regain some pride, if nothing else. Game 2 of their series versus the Thunder gets underway at 6:30. You can see it on TNT. And the Durham Bulls will come to Nashville for a 6:35 first pitch this evening. Tail Wagging Tuesday will be in effect, ladies and gentlemen, as the Sounds are at home, and they kick it off again at 6:35 tonight. That brings us to the end of your Tuesday schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes your Tuesday rundown.
Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill in Columbia, bringing you our top story. And a lot of people are probably happy for multiple reasons that Joey Aguilar is coming to the quarterback room at the University of Tennessee. It's a little easier to pronounce than the guy that he swapped places with. Aguilar played the previous 2 seasons, 23 and 24, at Appalachian State. Went into the portal whenever the portal opened, I guess the winter portal. There's so many, it's tough for me to keep up. Wound up at UCLA, was expected to start for the Bruins of the Big Ten this fall. But hold on, wait a minute. Here comes Nico Iamaleava, or Iamaleava, as some folks want to pronounce it these days. He's now in Westwood, and Aguilar bounced to UT. It was announced yesterday pretty much everywhere that Aguilar is coming. 6'3", 220-pound senior. He's got 1 year of eligibility. Again, played the previous 2 seasons at App State after starting his career at Diablo Valley Community College. California native. So, you know, he thought he was going home to finish out his career. And, you know, that loyalty that everybody wants to talk about suddenly evaporated when Nico came onto the market for the Bruins. So Nico's in at UCLA. Joey Aguilar is in at UT. Threw for 6,700 yards, 56 touchdowns the last 2 years, but 24 picks. So kind of a mixed bag there. But he's a guy who's played some college football at the Division I level, 24 starts in 2 seasons at App State, which is more than either of the 2 guys that played in the spring game have for UT. So I guess that kind of gives him a little bit of a leg up in this situation anyway. Obviously, Merklinger and McIntyre, the latter from Brentwood Academy, are going to have an opportunity to battle, but you got to feel like Aguilar is going to be the favorite in the clubhouse immediately, at least.
Yeah, it feels like it'll be his job to lose. Just that experience factor alone will presumably be enough to get him the nod. Interesting situation. Obviously, this is the story that just keeps on giving. And, we have our first official trade in the NIL era as it kind of worked out. So free agency, step aside, we've got trades now. And so even the deal is roughly the same. Had about $1.2 million left at UCLA, supposedly on that reported deal there, and it's expected to be about the same for him making this move over here. For Tennessee, you get a solid option, a guy who, the ceiling may not be the highest, but you don't necessarily need a high ceiling. You just need a guy to come in, take the reins, and be your guy for this season. So that checks all of the boxes for Josh Heupel and for Tennessee in my mind, and the building around him. And then we've talked many times, you got the couple guys on the roster. You got another hotshot prospect coming in next year. Tennessee's got a promising future in the quarterback position, but you need a guy this year. And by all accounts, it seems like you've got that guy here with Aguilar coming in.
Yeah, it really does feel like a comfortable move for UT. It wasn't, the top end type guy that they wanted. And, it wasn't the greatest look for UT, but apparently there are reports out there that there was a quarterback at TCU that they were hoping to get into the transfer portal and get him over here, and he opted to stay where he was at, which kudos to him. But that's kind of where this thing is inching toward, I guess, is reaching out to folks and saying, hey, we got a spot, are you interested, and that kind of thing. And again, I've always been for the players. If you can secure the bag, get it. I'm not mad at you, but there have got to be some guardrails put up on a lot of stuff that's going on at this point. And I hope I don't sound hypocritical when I say that, but this situation's kind of gotten out of control. And obviously this situation is exhibit A for out of control. So.
Yeah, and to that point, Mo, Nico comes in. I mean, it's good news, bad news for Nico, because good news in the sense that Aguilar's leaving. So, in theory now it just slides right up the pecking order in terms of their roster. But the bad news is the report coming out of The Athletic is that Nico's brother, Madden, who had announced he's going to transfer from Arkansas, he supposedly is now going to go to UCLA. So imagine that. Nico is suddenly battling his own brother for starting minutes there in Westwood. The gift that keeps on giving. This will be a story. There will be more eyes on UCLA, I feel like, than in any previous season, just based on the way this whole situation is unfolded. There certainly will be more folks in Tennessee kind of keeping one eye on the Big Ten scoreboard this season, I think.
Yeah, there's already folks talking about a UCLA Tennessee bowl matchup and how
would be epic.
It would be epic
if everybody played.
And when you talk about the eyes on UCLA, it's particularly eyes per win potentially, because in the Big Ten, how much of a factor is UCLA expected to be this year?
Not much would be your short answer. But with Nico, obviously an immediate improvement. So in theory, a little better. Their schedule is still going to be pretty rigorous. They got Penn State. They got Ohio State in the horseshoe. Still got to battle USC every single year. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tricky. They also got a non-con versus Utah to open the season. So kind of best of luck to Deshaun Foster as he kind of tries to navigate. It was not a great season last year. You do have a little more oomph in terms of production. If Nico can, even if he regains that form he had at Tennessee, it's going to be an improvement on what they had at UCLA last year. And if he can grow a little, then maybe you could be just enough to be dangerous. But, expect a long year for the Bruins.
Yeah, absolutely. Expect a long year for them. And, it's going to be a long year under the microscope, because this situation has brought a lot of attention on that program and on that position in that program. So we'll see how it goes. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we'll be talking a little college softball with MAREN ANGUS-COOMBS of Softball on SI. Stick around.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. In our final segment, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 biggest NFL draft busts, a list that you don't want to be on. So, not good, but it's going to be fun. Right now, though, we're pleased to have with us MAREN ANGUS-COOMBS of Softball on SI. MAREN, good afternoon.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
What's happening?
What's happening?
Well, you're talking about my college team, UCLA, being in the news lately.
They are in the news. Right, wrong, or otherwise, they are in the news. So it's just kind of where we are in college athletics, I guess. And we even saw a little bit of this last summer, MAREN, with the young lady that transferred from Stanford to Texas Tech, that bastion of softball dominance. And I cannot think of her name, and I know you know it immediately, but you know that it's just kind of where we're going, it feels like.
Yeah, Nigeri Kennedy. She transferred.
How is she doing?
Great.
How are they doing?
Okay. Surprisingly, let's start with her former team, Stanford, who just set the new NCAA softball attendance record over the weekend with over 13,000 people at their game. They called it the Big Swing. And for those who don't pay attention to the ACC,
right.
Stanford softball stadium is under construction, so they are playing at Stanford football stadium this year, and it is the coolest thing you probably ever see. And they had more than 13,000 people for their game against Cal on Sunday. It was awesome.
In their conference game against Cal.
But yeah, so Nigeri Kennedy is at Texas Tech. They're doing just fine. But she did get that sweet NIL deal of about $1.2 million.
I don't know that we've talked to you about that, but that number, and again, all due respect to the sport, how outrageous was that? Yeah.
Pretty outrageous. It's a number that we really don't see in softball. You see it in football. Don't see it so much with softball. So for Nyjah to get that kind of a deal, she's worth it. And from learning some of the behind the scenes things, Several schools were after her, but she was able to get one specific person to come in for Texas Tech and say, hey, we're not going to lose you to Texas. We're not going to lose you to Oklahoma. How much do you need?
That's all it takes, right?
That exactly. You just need one. I mean, that's going to kind of be the theme for a lot of folks in this draft here in a couple of days. You only need one team to fall in love with you, and for Najee, it was Texas Tech, I guess. So kudos again to her.
Yeah. So she's doing fine. She's still going to be, I think she's in the running for the National Player of the Year. Do I think she's as dominant as she was at Stanford? No, but she's doing more. She's become a two-way player. Stanford didn't use her as a two-way player as much as Texas Tech is, but we will see how Texas Tech does down the stretch, because they have never played in a Women's College World Series, period. So this is uncharted waters.
What we brought you on for, and obviously we kind of went off on a tangent there, but we can do that. But I saw Softball America's top 25 yesterday, and it's been same song, different sport all year for Wade and I, talking about the dominance of the Southeastern Conference in football, in men's basketball, and women's basketball, in baseball. And so when you look at the Softball America top 25 poll this week, and you see 7 of the top 10 spots are filled by SEC programs, it's not a great surprise.
No, not at all. Not a surprise at all. The only surprise I would say is that it's kind of been a rotating door at the top. There is no dominant number one team this year.
Okay.
However, the top 5 teams have kind of separated themselves in a way where the top 5 have been in the top 5 for quite some time. It's just a different order.
And this week, that revolving door has kind of got orange trim on it, because it's the Lady Vols of Tennessee sitting in that number 1 spot this week, as you put it. Texas A&M, last week's number 1, is now number 2. Texas, also of the SEC, is number 3. Florida State breaks up the roll at number 4, Florida, followed by Oklahoma, Arkansas. Excuse me. Oregon, Florida, UCLA, and South Carolina. Who of those 7 SEC teams are you most surprised to see in the top 10?
Ooh.
I'll give you a minute to think about that, because I didn't realize South Carolina. I know South Carolina has traditionally been a pretty good softball program. I didn't realize that was. I wasn't familiar with their game. I apologize, as Shaq would say. I didn't realize they were this good this year.
Yes. So South Carolina, I would say, is a surprise, because they have not been this good over the past couple of seasons. Now they've got a new coaching staff. They took advantage of the transfer portal and brought in 6 players from Charlotte, which is where the coaching staff is from. And they have turned it around. They're doing a great job. The coaching staff there is doing a great job with this program, and they've really they are a top 10 team. Now, of the group that you mentioned, I would say it's the most surprising, because they weren't there last year.
Right. You mentioned South Carolina taking 6 kids, or that staff taking 6 kids with them from Charlotte. And we were talking in the last segment that you might have heard us about, there need to be some guidelines, some safeguards something. A school shouldn't have to worry about losing 6 players to one program in a coaching change like that. Especially, we saw it a couple of years ago. We talked about Laura Mueller transferring from MTSU to Tennessee, and the caliber, the level that she was being recruited to coming out of Forest High School in Chapel Hill, and all of a sudden she's playing in the SEC, and kudos to her. But, for a Jeff Breeden and a staff to be able to go out and see, hey, this kid can play, and be able to get them into their program. And then when Tennessee comes calling after 2 years, you can't do anything about that.
No.
But, that's obviously a loss to that program. And you're not going to go out and get another Laura Mueller out of the high school ranks. If you're Charlotte, you're not going to go out and get 6 kids that are capable of playing at South Carolina. I mean, it's just the trickle-down effect of this is really tough to see.
It really is. And if you look while we're talking about Tennessee, they benefited from South Carolina because they brought in Sage Margecko, right? So, like South Carolina brings in pitchers. Sage needs somewhere to go. Tennessee says, okay, we'll take you. It's a revolving door, but you're right. There does need to be some type of parameter put on this, because what we're seeing in softball, at least, is that you've got these kids who maybe aren't recruited by these Power 4 schools out of high school, and they end up at a mid-major, but one good game for your mid-major against a Power 4, and that coach is now calling your club coach, your high school coach, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your teammates, saying, hey, we got a spot for you. We got a spot for so-and-so if she wants to come, because they can't talk to her directly, but they can talk to everyone else. So, and I know I'm calling people out if they're listening or watching, but it's true, and it's true. So,
Right.
this is the problem. And unless the NCAA figures out that, it's tampering. We'll call a spade a spade. It's tampering. But we're not, these people aren't getting in trouble because they're not calling the kid directly.
Well, and they're probably not getting in trouble because everybody's doing it.
Everyone's doing it. Don't report someone if you're doing it too.
Honor among thieves.
Right. Exactly. So, we're seeing it. Like, you talk about, while we're talking about these stellar high school kids, we'll talk about Kaylor West from Liberty Creek. Just last year did a great job. Perfect game in the state tournament. She committed to Western Kentucky, but had Power 4 schools knocking on her door. Who knows what happens if she's at Western and throws a good game against Kentucky or Tennessee.
Yeah. And it's, it's got to be tough for those coaches in those type programs to really see where things have gone. But that is, again, that's just where we're at. MAREN ANGUS-COOMBS of softball on SI joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. MAREN, Tennessee again in the number 1 spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of parity in women's softball right now. Tennessee went to Oklahoma City last year, one of the last 4 teams standing, but couldn't quite get over the hump again. And we've got another friend of the show, Christopher Gabriel, who is not a huge fan of the coaching staff for that very reason. They can get you to the threshold, but they don't seem to be able to get over the hump. What's different about this team? Or is there anything different about this team?
I think if you have a pitcher that throws 78 miles per hour, that'll get you anywhere. Carlin Pickens is by far the most dominant pitcher in college softball. However, the rest of the team that is supporting her, the makeup of it isn't much different than before. In fact, I would say maybe I would have preferred an offense like last year's team over this year's team. However, Carlin Pickens is just becoming better and better every year.
It certainly makes it easy when you have a dominant starter like that, Maren, and that's what I'm kind of fascinated by Tennessee, and obviously picking up a series win at Oklahoma, picking up a series win at Texas. Is there any sort of, I don't know how else to phrase it, but like a believe factor? Is this team all of a sudden, has the light switch maybe kind of flipped and said, hey, we are certainly capable of being there? Because I almost chalk it up to just a mental breakdown these last couple of seasons. I'm curious if anything else has changed. Does Tennessee kind of believe what they're capable of now in your mind this year?
I think so. And I think as soon as someone rolls in, they won both those series on the road, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to do. I don't care who you are. But I think the moment they took a series from Oklahoma in Oklahoma, that changes things. That has to change your belief. Like, oh, okay. And then to do it against Texas, I mean, I would totally believe if I play for Tennessee that I'm playing on the number one team in the country at that point, because that's something nobody else has done, is take a series from both of those programs on the road.
With that being said, what does talk to us about Texas A&M? Kind of where do they fit in this equation? I don't know really anything about their team, but I do know Texas and Oklahoma obviously are kind of royalty. So what do we like? What do we maybe not like about Texas A&M, who kind of is sitting there forgotten in some sense when we're talking about Tennessee, Texas, and Oklahoma?
Personally, I love watching the Aggies play. They have everything that you could think of when it comes to a lineup. They have pitching, they have an offense, they have a combination of speed and power, and their defense there is spectacular. They have everything that they need to make a run. This last week was their first time ever as a program with a number one next to it. So I think when you see that number, it may have played with them a little bit, but they went into Mizzou over the weekend and did not play well. And I think that's where you see Tennessee leapfrogging them. But A&M, they have Emily Kennedy in the circle, a lefty that throws 70 plus, which is hard to hit. You've got their lineup. They've got speed at the top, power in the middle, and more speed at the bottom. So it's set up like you would want a lineup. And then with their defense, Allie Enright in the outfield, it makes plays left and right. So I mean, they're fun to watch. If you get a chance over the next couple weeks to watch Texas A&M, I highly recommend it.
And then, real quick, I guess one last thing on Texas A&M that kind of, you mentioned that Missouri series. I'm curious if you did get to watch much of that. Was that just a function of them playing bad? Because I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news for Aggies fans, but Mizzou, one of the lowly teams in the league. So you win one in extra innings, and then you drop the finale kind of in 5. Is that enough of an alarm bell to say, hey, this team still has some holes they got to work on, or do you just chalk that up to, hey, it was just a bad weekend?
Well, they played the 3 games in 24 hours, which yeah. So a 24-hour series is, you're going to be tired by game 3. But also Mizzou has a losing record at the moment. And if you have a losing record, you do not make the NCAA tournament, period. It doesn't matter what conference you're in, what your RPI is, what your strength of schedule is. Mizzou needs wins badly. They're playing like a team desperate for a win. And I think they were able to catch A&M on the tail end of, I would be tired playing 3 games in 24 hours.
MAREN ANGUS-COOMBS. I'm sorry. Yeah, Combs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there we go. Of Softball on SI, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. We mentioned Tennessee again. They finish up the regular season against Texas A&M in Knoxville after they go to Ole Miss this weekend. But that belief, that number 1 spot, those wins on the road at Texas and Oklahoma, does all of that lead to, getting into that championship series in OKC this time?
It might. There is, I will say, okay, so Tennessee did add Sophia Nugent to their roster. She's their catcher. She won a couple of national championships at Oklahoma before transferring to Tennessee. And then you take in, they added Craig Snyder to the coaching staff. He won a national championship with Florida State. When you bring in people who have the experience of either winning a national title or playing for a national title, that will help kind of explain things better to the rest of the team that has never been in that position. I mean, none of the rest of the team, I mean, outside of Karen Weekly, doesn't know, what it's like outside of I guess now those 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't around when the Renfros were leading them to a title series against Oklahoma. So you would hope that those 3 can motivate this team down the stretch, because they know what it takes to get there and they know what it takes to win.
Again, we've seen the dominance of the Southeastern Conference throughout this college athletics season. There are 11 SEC teams in the top 25 this week by Softball America. What is the NCAA tournament field going to look like relative to the SEC? Do you think they get 11 teams in or more?
They'll get more. As of now, everyone except Mizzou will be in the tournament.
So that's 14 of 15.
14 of 15. If Mizzou is able to get to 500 or better, then all 15 will be in.
Wow.
Yeah, and then this is where I think things get even more interesting, is when you have to create regionals, because they can't be in the same regional. So out of the 16 regionals, if all 15 get in, you've got an SEC team in each one. So
good luck.
Good luck.
Selection committee. Yeah.
Don't envy those guys.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. MAREN, we appreciate you spending some time with us this afternoon, and I'm sure we'll be swinging back to you as this season winds down and heads toward conference tournament play, NCAA tournament play, and Oklahoma City. But thank you. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All righty.
See you soon.
Let's take a break here on Top 5 Tuesday on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return, we'll be talking a little baseball. Stick around.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
April 22nd, 1966, following back-to-back losses to visiting Pittsburgh and a 6-game road trip to New York and Philadelphia, the Atlanta Braves defeated the Mets 8-4 for their first home field victory since moving south from Milwaukee. The Braves scored multiple runs in 3 different innings, including a 3-run third as Rico Carty had an RBI base hit and Woody Woodward drew a bases-loaded walk. Carty was one of 5 Braves with a pair of hits in the victory as Atlanta banged out 13 safeties off six different pitchers. That was this day in Braves history. Maybe this Braves team will take a cue from that Braves team and keep the offense turned up as they won their 4th straight game. And I wasn't sure I would ever say that, but they won their 4th straight last night, defeating St. Louis 7-6, scored 5 in the 8th, and then had to hang on. And Wade, you've seen it. Closers in non-save situations are a recipe for, it's kind of like prevent defenses in football. Iglesias comes in with a 7-3 lead and promptly gives up 3 runs before finally pulling himself together and getting a check swing 6-inch ground ball out of Nolan Arenado that Murphy was able to field and tag Arenado before he got out of the box for the final out of the ball game with the tie and run on base. So, a game that looked like the Braves were going to kind of get through drama-free suddenly had some drama, but they got out, and they've won 4 straight.
Yeah, give the fans a little extra mojo, 30,000 plus on hand to see a little extra. And you're right. It seems like a good idea. Hey, we got this big lead. Hey, we got our guy. Let's just casually get through this thing. But it's a fascinating psych study on the minds of these guys, and not being in that pressure cooker situation. It does seemingly seem like it's always a recipe for disaster. To your point, and escaped. But certainly not without its fair share of drama there at the end.
But escaping, I guess, when you're coming in at 8-13, you'll take escaping. And so, again, Atlanta improving to 9-13 with that win. St. Louis falls to 9-14. And as we spoke to John Denton, who covers the Cardinals for MLB.com, the Cardinals haven't played particularly well on the road, but they have shown some offensive flashes. And last night was the latter late. So, we'll see what tonight brings. Andre Palante going for the Cardinals. The Braves have a TBA as far as we know, because Spencer Strider was supposed to make this start, went on the injured list yesterday evening after we got off the air. He was playing catch and strained his hamstring. So it's completely unrelated to the arm situation, which is a good thing, but he's down again, which is a bad thing. So hopefully they are being more cautious with it than anything else, and just slowing him down a little bit, because we need to get him back out there. 7-6 last night. Riley with a home run, Murphy with a home run, Schwellenbach 7 innings, 5 strikeouts. He just continues to pitch beyond his years, feels like.
Yeah, strikeouts were down kind of from what we've seen earlier in the season. But, yes, he is able to wiggle. In some ways, that's kind of a nice start, because you give up 8 hits and you give up a couple of runs, and your strikeout's not there, but you still find a way to turn in a real quality outing. That kind of speaks more sometimes than what we'd seen from this kid earlier in terms of just blowing guys away. So a nice, crafty way, like you said, wise beyond his years in that regard.
Yeah. Houston 7, Toronto nothing. And again, if you were listening yesterday during our segment with John Denton of MLB.com, he was singing the praises of Hunter Brown. 7 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts last night, running his scoreless inning streak up to 24. Cy Young candidate?
Man, we'll see. There's a lot of really good arms over the American League, but he's pitching well. He's gotten off to a great start. He's been the one guy in the rotation that kind of you can really, really count on thus far. And it was nice to see him do his thing, of course, and the offense backed him up. Yeah, just 2 hits in 7 innings of work. He only walked 1, too, which was impressive, and he flirted with double-digit strikeouts. So a quality performance for a guy who has been a calming factor for Houston, it seems, thus far.
And a much-needed calming factor, as you said. Houston getting to even at 11-11 with that victory. Jose Altuve chips in a 2-run double to kind of key things for the Astros in that win. That series continues at 7-10 tonight. Chris Bassett going for the Blue Jays, 2-0 with an 0.77 ERA. Ronel Blanco is 1-2, and he's better than that 6.48 ERA that he's sporting right now. So, don't sleep on him and the Astros again as this series continues down in Houston tonight. News from the Sounds. Friend of the show, Craig Yoho, one of our guests from last summer, got his first major league call up late last night, early this morning. He will be joining the Brewers, and indications are that he's probably going to get some shots at the closer role once he gets there. The Brewers are, where are they? They are at San Francisco right now. I think they lost last night, but he's making that cross-country flight. And, yeah, they lost 5-2 to San Francisco last night, but Yoho will be joining them again. This is his first call up, so congrats to him, and hopefully he goes up there and gets his feet wet and does some good things.
Absolutely. Always good to see the Sounds the Brewers seemingly manage, we're obviously biased given the location, but it feels like they do a great job of kind of blending that talent up, blending that talent down, finding the right spot for guys. Or we've seen also, and Jeff and Adam and some guys have told us if a guy is just for whatever reason and not a good fit or not in their plans, they try and, at least accommodate them as best they can. So that is good to see. Other key angle to watch this series, don't know when, but at some point, former Giles County standout Ben Peoples will get in at some point on the pen for Durham this week. He's up at AAA and has been dominating thus far. Don't want to wish ill will on anybody, but he's just an injury away the way he's been pitching from getting the call up to the Rays. But he's in town for a couple nights, so it'll be fun to see a couple, the local team versus the local kid in Nashville this week.
Now, is he starting?
No, they moved him to the pen this year, and he's been lights out. He had finally he had pitched 6 innings before giving up his first hit. The walks were really what was kind of his Achilles heel. But the Rays this offseason approached him and said, hey, your best shot to get to the majors might be, and we maybe could best use you if you go to the pen. And so he got a camp invite and pitched well in that limited duty, but been assigned to AAA and has been playing very well, only giving up 2 hits on the season, and I think up to 8 appearances thus far.
That's fantastic that's going to be his fast track to the show, but it's tough for him to be this close to home, and nobody knows when he's going to throw, so it's not like you can necessarily go down there for all 6. So hopefully he will have a good Pulaski turnout whenever he does get in. But yeah, that's a tough situation there.
I'm having to get creative. Yeah, tail wag is out tonight, so I'm going to miss him tonight, and I hope he doesn't throw because I'm trying to get creative over the course of the next week to catch up with Ben. Been fun to watch him. He was a kid that kind of got drafted in 2019. The COVID year certainly threw him for a loop, but he has really grinded his way up, going from Bowling Green down last year to Montgomery, and now this year has been doing well in the pen for Durham thus far.
That's awesome. We always like to see these local kids, these local guys do well and get to the next level and continue to pursue their hopes and dreams. So wishing him the best for sure. And again, hope that there's a great turnout for him whenever he does get in down at First Horizon Park this week. Let's take a break here on Top 5 Tuesday on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return for hour number 2, we'll be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and joining us, I assume, from the borough, is the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters.
You know what assuming does, don't you?
Yes, I do know what assuming does. Maybe I should have said presume instead of assume, but yes, you are in Murfreesboro, I can tell.
Yes, I am. I'm in.
So there we go.
In the office. Yeah.
All right. Hey, what's happening over that way? What do we need to talk about?
Let me look at. Well, the sun popped out over here just now. I guess that's pretty metaphorical for coming on this show. You know, so
that's a start.
There's that. The one thing that's going on right now, or has gone on today, Conference USA men's golf tournament going on over in Texarkana, and 2 rounds in the books. 3rd round of stroke play coming tomorrow. Then the top 4 will get into match play. But middle right now, after 2 rounds, is sitting in 2nd place, 4 strokes behind Liberty. And as you know, in a team golf event, 4 strokes can be made up fairly quickly. But middle is actually in a 3-way tie for 2nd. Middle, UTEP, and Sam Houston all at 2 under par. Liberty at 6 under, and so you've got a really. And then when you look past that, Kennesaw's at +1, New Mexico State +3. So within you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 teams within 5 strokes of each other. So tomorrow could literally be moving day down in Texarkana. But kind of the story within the story is Middle's Carter Manath, who shot an even par 72 today. And Carter is the young man from Texarkana, by the way, who lost his father and grandparents in the plane crash, about 10 days ago, something like that, 10, 11 days ago. And he has come on and played well in the first 2 rounds of this event. So it says an awful lot about that young man. He, J.J. Zimmer, and Marcus Vargin, all with scores of 72 today. So they've all had good. It looks like Middle's playing pretty consistent, but I'm just really proud of how Carter Manath has bounced back.
That's pretty amazing. And as you said, going back to his hometown and having that kind of performance, I would imagine there's a little bit of comfort in being back on home turf. But man, that was hard to hear when that took place last week. And they were coming to see him play, right?
That's correct. They were flying. Middle was playing in the Tar Heel Invitational over in North Carolina, and they were flying in a small plane. Dad is a pilot, and it crashed into the Cherokee National Forest over in Polk County, not far from Cleveland, Tennessee. And I know it took the rescuers about 3 hours to find the wreckage. The air traffic controllers at McGee Tyson Airport in Knoxville lost them on radar, and so that's how they alerted the emergency medical people and rescuers, first responders down in that area. Kind of gave them a ballpark area of where they lost them on radar, and like I said, very thick, mountainous area down there, and it's totally sad situation. But as we have seen in the past, Mo, thinking back to the Tina Stewart situation, how the Blue Raider community pulled together back then, did it again for Carter.
As you knew they would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Both baseball and softball in action today, in non-conference action, both on the road.
Both
Blue
in the
Raiders,
same city, though.
both in the same city. You could conceivably see both. There's a way to navigate. There's a way to get from the TSU campus to Hawkins Field if you were so inclined.
I would have to stop by Sweats, though, on the way.
Now you're talking.
That might hold you up a little bit, or a long bit. Yeah. Softball playing at TSU this tonight.
Yep.
Baseball playing at number 9 Vanderbilt now. Oh
yeah, Vandy made a huge jump after they swept Georgia. This is one where if you're middle right now and you're kind of you're struggling a little bit, you're trying to obviously the conference weekend series are your total 100% priority. So I had both softball and baseball on our spring sports show yesterday, and I asked Coach Myers if it was pretty much Johnny Allstaff tonight for middle when it comes to pitching. You could have 9 guys go in 9 innings tonight, and congratulations, you're catching a Vanderbilt team that has all of a sudden caught fire with their bats, and they're doing the same thing you're doing. They're trying to jockey and keep momentum and jockey for positions going into the SEC tournament. Middle's trying to make up some ground right now to get in the Conference USA tournament, and they're in a battle right now with about 4 or 5 teams here. Looking at my notes, Middle, they've got series coming up at New Mexico State, home against Jacksonville State, home against Sam Houston, and at Kennesaw. So 2 series on the road, 2 series at home. And right now there are 2 games out of where they need to be to get a spot in the tournament. But you've got 12 games to try to make up 2 games. So that's and you're playing some people that you could potentially do that with. So they've got some work cut out. They've got their longest trip of the year coming up, and ironically, softball and baseball will both be playing in New Mexico at New Mexico State this weekend. So they'll both make the flight on Thursday to El Paso, and then the 45-minute bus ride up to Las Cruces.
As
where the ball, by the way, jumps out of the park.
I bet
the
air's a little thin out there, huh?
3,000. You go from 600-foot altitude here at home, where the air can get a little thick, to it's a little over. I looked it up when we were out there for basketball, and it's not a whole lot of difference between El Paso and Las Cruces, but they're at about 3,000 feet. Not quite a going to Denver type atmosphere, but it's a little thinner, and also you get some wind out there that can cause problems. Little tidbit: New Mexico State baseball already this year has had games that had dust storm delays.
Oh,
not what you're looking for.
No, not what you're looking for at all. And we've talked on this show on various occasions about my fascination with travel logistics. Will baseball and softball travel together at all?
No, they will not.
Each other at any point?
I don't know, but I would guess they are probably on their own agendas, because each one pretty much uses a full bus. Once you get to the airport, their eating schedules and stuff may be a little different. They could end up in the same hotel. That happens from time to time. When we were out at New Mexico State, we didn't. Sometimes we'll run it. Well, because that trip we were at New Mexico State on Thursday and UTEP on Saturday. on Wednesday when we got there, I'm seeing all these guys that look like basketball players, but they're not like college age. Turns out it was the Harlem Globetrotters that were staying in the same hotel with us. And so they had a game at UTEP, as a matter of fact, on I think Friday night or whatever between UTEP games. And so anyway, we play Thursday night in Las Cruces, and as soon as the game's over, we bus on down, 45 minutes to an hour, and check in the hotel in El Paso, which is a really super nice place we're fortunate to stay in right downtown. And when we got there, Western's men were still there. They had played at UTEP, but they weren't going to go up till the next day. So you cross paths a lot of times with your travel partner. And for us, obviously, it's Western Kentucky. But yeah, pretty much those teams, baseball and softball, even this will be the second time this year they will be playing the same road opponent over a weekend. But it's pretty much, their own travel situation with logistics and all of that, and setting up meals and whatever. But the good thing is once you get there, everything's kind of right where you need to be. But it does take a little while to get out there, because if you fly commercial, there's no direct flights. You have to change planes somewhere, whether it's in Dallas or Austin or Houston, or you typically will have to change planes somewhere in Texas on the way out there.
Chip, real quick, Mo asked about the logistics. I'm asking about the dust storms. Is there like a 30-minute delay? Hey, well, we spotted another small little pocket there. We got to wait 30 minutes. I'm curious what their protocol is.
Only if there's lightning within the dust storm, I think. But when we were out there for basketball, watching the local news, which I'm a bit of a news and history nerd. So when the local news comes on at whatever town we're in, it's always kind of interesting to watch. But that was on that Saturday. We were getting ready to head over to the arena, and the Saturday morning news was on, and the weather guy or girl comes on and was talking about, they were predicting dust storms for that following Monday. So they kind of predict it just like they do rain or thunderstorms. They don't predict much rain out there, I promise you that. And but I did ask Clay Badalak, who was on with us yesterday, if he'd ever been to New Mexico, and he said no, not been there. I said, well, and I gave him the little lowdown. Well, when you fly into El Paso and you're coming in from the airport, look to your left out of the bus, and that's going to be Mexico right there. And then you all will make a kind of a right-hand turn and head north. But I said, it's pretty, but it ain't pretty like it is here. It's just everything's a pretty green here. Out there, it's all brown, but it's beautiful in its own way.
We're having this combo, and I've got my New Mexico United soccer kit on, so we've come full circle on this show. I knew we would, Chip.
I'm saying that I'm going to go out on a limb. I want to say you may be the only friend of mine that owns a New Mexico United jersey, especially with the Puma on it.
Yeah, it was so Meow Wolf is a really cool art / lifestyle spot out there, and I just saw this and had to buy it immediately. I know nothing. I couldn't name you a single player. I couldn't give you a recent score, but I like the kit, so I had to get it, Chip. I'm base level fan at best, I guess there. So.
You at least knew who they were.
Don't come to me I had to look down. I thought it was Santa Fe United. It was actually New Mexico.
Okay, while we're talking about that, while we're talking a little trivia out in that area, what is the nickname of the minor league baseball team in El Paso? Mo probably know. Y'all probably know this.
I do know this, but I don't know if Wade does or not. So
El Paso, no, I was loaded with the isotopes there, but you threw me for a curveball with the El Paso.
It would have been Albuquerque, the Albuquerque isotopes, but it is the
El Paso is the Chihuahuas, right?
Chihuahuas, the yapping little Chihuahuas. Yes.
I think the Chihuahuas might have been Jeff Francoeur's final stand in professional baseball before he retired.
Very well could have been. They have a really nice ballpark downtown, and our buddy and friend of the show, Jeff Him, gets to make some trips out there, or used to, when they
Yeah.
may have changed leagues.
They
But
have.
back when they were both in the PCL, that
You're showing your
which
age
made
with
about
that
as
one.
much sense as the Big Ten now, and the ACC in California. So, but
Speaking
I
of
digress.
baseball, yes, you do, and I'm gonna throw up some guardrails here. Speaking of baseball, congratulations to MTSU's Matt Wolf, who was recently added to the Brooks Wallace Player of the Year watch list. That award is given in honor of former Texas Tech infielder who later died of leukemia at the age of 27, but played for Texas Tech from 77 to 80, and it's presented by the College Baseball Foundation. These are specifically shortstops, not just infielders, and he is among 100 Division I shortstops on the watch list for this award. So, pretty big honor.
It is. And when you think about, there's 300 plus college baseball programs in Division I, and not to mention all the others, Division II, III, the JUCOs, NAIA. There are a lot of college shortstops out there. So basically, they're saying you're one of the top 100 in the country, and so that is a very nice honor. And the last couple of winners in 2023, Matt Shaw of Maryland won it. 2022, Brooks Lee of Cal Poly, and Texas Tech's Cal Conley was the winner in 2021, and Gray Kessinger of Ole Miss was the winner in 2019. So there's some names there that we've heard of for sure.
Absolutely.
And want to wish him all the best.
He'll be facing off tonight over at Hawkins Field against a fellow watch lister, Jonathan Vastine from Vanderbilt. And then when they go out to Las Cruces, he'll be facing off against yet another one. Sheehan O'Connor of New Mexico State is also on the list. I think those are the only two guys from Conference USA as I try to quickly comb through this list of 100 players. Yeah, I think those are the only two from CUSA. So,
well, another little, I need to pass that along. There's a good tidbit for Mr. Palmer this weekend.
There you go. Feel free, no charge, no charge for the old pro. We'll let him use that. Yeah. We talked about golf. The women finished fourth in their conference tournament. Is that correct?
They did, and you say fourth place. Okay, well, that is, they have. There was a coaching change this year. Chris Adams had an opportunity to move west, and she went to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Had good teams here. Lauren Walmsley came from Grand Canyon. She's from Indiana. Gave her an opportunity to get closer to home as well. Took over the program here, and their fourth place finish was their best in 7 years in Conference USA. And so congratulations to the women's golf team. Abby Lee was a top 5 finisher and made all conference. Abby she's a heck of a young lady. We will probably see her name up for some big awards next week for the Raiders' Choice Awards. But a note about Chris Adams, we mentioned she went to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. They're in the Southland Conference, and they won their league. They won their conference tournament, and so congratulations all around
Absolutely.
to Coach Adams, great lady, and also Lauren Walmsley, who has come in here and just fit like a glove in Murfreesboro. She and her husband have they're here and just having a lot of fun with the program and had a good finish in the tournament.
That'd be a golf glove, right?
That would be a golf glove. Yeah.
Well played.
All right. Thank you. Hey, speaking of the Raiders' Choice Awards, voting continues through when? When's it wrap up?
I think Sunday night for the fan voting. 3 awards: Play of the Year, Game of the Year, Performance of the Year. are all up for fan voting, and you can do that on goblueraiders.com. And I know there had been some website issues a bit earlier in the day, but I know they were efforting on those, but you can
Had they
go
just
on
gotten so many votes or so many
right.
folks trying
Shut
to
it
vote that
down.
it just blew it up?
Just shut it down. And but you can go on there and you can watch the videos of the nominees. There's a video package for each award, and make your selections. And that'll be next Thursday night. We'll be at Tucker Theater, and that'll be our 14th annual Raiders Choice Awards. Is like the ESPYs style. We will have the blue carpet arrivals at the proper time, and then get the show underway about 7 o'clock. It will not be streamed live, but it will be recorded and will be uploaded for viewers. Should anyone like to come, they can call the BRAA office at 615-898-2210. Or should there be any local media that I might know, you can contact Mark Owens to get yourself in there and do some coverage.
I'm looking at the list, and performance of the year is a loaded category.
It is,
because you've got Brett Von Dolen with a 10 RBI performance. You've got Nicholas Vadiato of Nick and Roman's Empire fame with 456 passing yards. You've got a Drew Horn no-hitter. You've got Jana Want with a pair of home runs. You've got Issam Mustafa's 30-20 performance. I mean, man, I'm telling you, whoever wins that will have done something.
That may be the toughest award to win next week, because you're right. It is absolutely loaded.
Game/event of the year includes Jeff Breeden's Lady Raiders softball win down at number 19 Mississippi State. Men's tennis beating number 30 Georgia Tech. The Lady Raider women's basketball team winning in the conference semis against Western. The men winning during the regular season at Western. I mean, again, it's not the performance of the year, but you've got some really good ones there. And these plays of the year, including is Omari Kelly coming back? Should he win this play of the year?
I think that may
must
be
be
one of those,
present to win.
I think that may be one of those where I may need to have my line ready. Excepting for Omari Kelly is Maurice Patton. That kind of thing.
But yeah, this is great, man. Y'all go vote on this. Again, it's on goblueraiders.com, and they're going to need some help coming up with that performance of the year for sure. So yeah, go vote on that. Men's tennis continues their dominance in the conference.
So he got one for the thumb last year. And now he started on the other hand this year. And this is a team that Jimmy Borndame has this is one that has this one may mean more than some of the others, simply because this team has gone through a lot with personnel, all kinds of stuff, injuries, but came back and then to beat Liberty on their home court for love to win the title had to be very satisfying. Have not heard yet when the NCAA selection show will be, but the Blue Raiders hope to get a destination that it will be close enough to where the tennis community can be there and be supportive.
Just dominating, like you said, Lord of the Rings, basically, right?
I like those rings on there. So yeah.
Some portal news for the Blue. Well, one piece of portal news, I guess, because you had one transfer added to the women's basketball team, Elena Contreras, who previously played at Missouri, Kansas City. The mascot for Missouri, Kansas City, Chief?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes, I do. The Kangaroos.
There we go. Everybody knows.
But there are two schools that have Kangaroo mascots. Do you know who the other is?
Akron, right?
That would be correct.
The Zips.
The
But they have a
Zips,
mascot.
but
or
the
a
mascot is
kangaroo.
a kangaroo. That's wild.
Yep, they're the Zips, but the mascot is a kangaroo. But
Goodness
yeah,
gracious.
she the what I heard someone talking about her and just said, I mean, and she's a terrific 3-point shooter. And the comment was, she hits all the shots that these people hit against us, and that's so she's one that she can find her own shot, and she can manufacture her own shot from outside the arc. So pretty athletic. To me, kind of looks in the face and all, kind of like Tamia Scott, but looks a little bit similar. The guys, as you mentioned, had one as well, and that comes from junior college ranks, and that would be Marcus Whitlock. He is at not Coffeyville, Cali College in Kansas. Who, by the way, assistant coach at Cali College is Reggie Scurry. Understand that Middle got him over Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. The only stat I'm going to give you on him was that he hit 99 threes last year. 99.
Okay.
Seems like a lot.
That seems good. He's transferring back to Conference USA. Began his career at Kennesaw State, coming out of the Georgia high school ranks. Went out to Cali for a year, and so he comes back with. Well, I guess he redshirted.
He redshirted at Kennesaw. Never played a game there, and so he was a JUCO first team NJCAA All-American at Cali, and was one of only 2 freshmen on their 10-person, I think, 10 or 12-person All-American team this year for the National Junior College Association. So, he's a guy that I had a chance to meet him during the spring football showcase, and nice enough young guy, and looking forward to getting back here. And he's from Georgia, so it's an opportunity for him to get closer to home. And I think he'll, you think about all the guards that were in Conference USA last year that could fill it up. It just proves you got to have some of those guys, and he looks to be one that can do it. So, but the work continues for both teams as they work in the portal right now.
And so he's got 3 years then.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Finally,
until somebody has another lawsuit, so we'll figure that
out. We may have saved the best for last on this one, and as we have mentioned on more than one occasion, Chip helps us out. He kind of sends a cheat sheet of topics to get to while we've got him, and he's got 3 asterisks next to Uncle Nearest Bar coming to Floyd Stadium.
That's right. Tell. Well, you have been spotted in the south end zone in the Cedar Glade Brews area.
Yes, I have. There is visual evidence.
There's
somewhere.
Visual evidence of that. Now, in the north end of Floyd Stadium, the new Student Athlete Performance Center, which is now scheduled for a ribbon cutting on July 30th. By the way, the third level of that building that overlooks the north end of the stadium, the third level is hospitality across. I mean, that can be everything from on game days. It's going to be fan areas, but also it's an area where they can do a lot of recruit stuff, things like that. But here, not too long ago, the SRM Concrete, they put their name on that club area in the north end on the 3rd floor, the SRM Concrete Club, and the bar now inside of the SRM Concrete Club, after a $300,000 donation to the Bill Blue campaign by nearest green distillery will be the Uncle Nearest bar within the SRM Concrete Club, and they will serve Uncle Nearest premium whiskey.
MTSU on the come up yet again.
You got to like that. I'm not necessarily digging one of them being on one end of the stadium and one on the other, but maybe there's method to the madness, though, as well. So,
well, and the other thing, too, I want to let people know is in that club, the SRM club, you can purchase tickets in that area, just like the Hendricks Club, which is in the press box area. Same price, $2,500 per pair, but it also gets you your amenities. You have obviously inside and outside seating. You have access to pregame food, and you have access to the SRM club and the bar. So those are available through the Blue Raider Athletic Association in their premium seating sales force.
Something to be aware of if you plan to attend MTSU football games this fall. And why would you not?
Yeah, another little upscale. If you like the amenities of a nice football stadium, and obviously it'll be a sports bar type atmosphere. You'll have the game that's on the field on some televisions. You'll have other games going on up there. Just a good opportunity, whether it's personal or business, you can certainly get in there and have some good ways to entertain some folks.
There you go.
I do have one happy birthday today.
Talk to us.
On.
Peter Frampton, Nashville resident Peter Frampton, who came alive back in the 70s, as we well know, with the best live album ever.
Do you feel like we do?
At 75 now, do you want to know, do you feel like I do? I just say, keep showing me the way, Peter. Keep showing me the way.
Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And he's going to leave on that one. Chip, we appreciate it.
See ya.
Let's take a break here on Top 5 Tuesday, because in our final segment of the day, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 NFL draft busts. Between now and then, though, after this break, we're going to get into the grab bag, and we got some stuff we need to tell you about, so stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 NFL draft busts, so stick around for that. Right now, we are in the grab bag. We're in our bag, and Trevecca didn't have to get deep in its bag to come up with a successor for Kevin Carroll, who went from the Murfreesboro Road area to 12th Avenue as the new Lipscomb coach. The Trojans have elevated assistant Nate Moran, who played his high school ball at Battleground Academy, into the head coaching role for the Trojans. So didn't waste a whole lot of time on that. And I guess if you're staying in the program and continuing that continuity and that kind of thing, it doesn't take very long to come to that decision. So nice move for Trevecca. And with that, the dominoes that began with Villanova firing Kyle Neptune come to an end.
Feels like we finally reached the end of that wild kind of trickle down effect. And
what do they call it? The butterfly effect?
Yeah, baby. Butterfly in the Indian Ocean just flapped his wings, and Nate Moran ends up as the head coach at Trevecca. And good move, like you said, continuing the success, continuing the pedigree. This seemingly checks all the boxes. A guy who's got some great chops, fun, kind of fiery coach. They don't produce any more episodes, but he was the co-host on Mind of a Coach, which is a good basketball coaching podcast for a couple of years. Friend of the show, Will Martin, he was on his staff at Missouri Western for a little bit. Thought Nate might parlay with Will and head out to Wyoming, where he was just announced last week that he's going to be joining up with Sundance again. So Moran ends up as the head coach at Trevecca. You got the CPA connection. You got the BGA connection, and you got some Lipscomb juice. I don't really see a downside to any of this for both Nate or Trevecca at this point. This seems like it checks all of the boxes.
It just feels like, being able to get somebody with some local ties here in particular, it would feel like that would kind of help with the recruiting aspect of that position. And so looking forward to seeing what Nate does with this. Again, he's been on that staff for the past 2 years with Kevin Carroll, and in those 2 seasons, Trevecca has won 35 games, the highest 2-year total since that program moved to Division II of the NCAA. So they are on the upswing and hoping to continue that. And we are scheduled to have Coach Moran visit with us tomorrow at 2:20. So be sure and check in with us and see what he's got to say about making, as Kevin O'Neill used to say, the 18-inch slide from assistant coach to head coach. Looking forward to talking to the former Wildcat about this new move for him. It's going to be fun. And I think that I know that there is at least one local signee who is paying attention to this situation. So we'll see how things shake out with Columbia Academy senior and Trevecca signee Jeremy Jackson in light of this move. So stay tuned for that as well. Sad news from the University of Cincinnati today. Offensive lineman Jeremiah Kelly enrolled early from the Ohio prep ranks to go through spring practice with the Bearcats. Apparently was found dead at his home earlier today. No cause of death disclosed. 3-star out of Avon High School. The team went 16-0 his senior season. But again, no indication of what happened to the 18-year-old. The Bearcats football family is heartbroken by the sudden loss of this outstanding young man. In the short time Jeremiah has spent with our team, he has made a real impact, both on the field and in the locker room. My prayers are with the Kelly family and those who had the pleasure of knowing Jeremiah, and before he even got a chance to play a game, that's just tragic, man.
Yeah, sad news all around. Sad for the family, obviously, and then sad for the extended family of Cincinnati, who not only was getting, by all accounts, a good football player, but also getting a bright young man. That is tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's you never like to hear about anybody dying, but it just feels like it really hits different when it's a young person, man, just getting started in whatever it is that they're doing. You just kind of think about what they had the opportunity to accomplish and what was lost with that and what impact that they had the opportunity to have and that kind of thing. And it's just hard to wrap your head around and not knowing what took place makes it even tougher, I think. So again, our thoughts are with the Kelly family and the Cincinnati athletic community in their loss of Jeremiah Kelly. You mentioned the NBA playoffs kind of ramped up last night. We finally got some decent ball games. We got some more intriguing matchups coming tonight, I guess. But Detroit and the Clippers each evened their series last night. Detroit beating the Knicks 100-94 at MSG, and the Clippers edging Denver 105-102. Welcome back, Kawhi, right?
Yeah, he was lights out, and it was so fun to watch him doing his thing. And I posted this last night on socials. Give me 7 games of Clippers Nuggets, and then have both teams advance somehow, and then give me Clippers and Nuggets for the rest of the playoffs. Whether it's the Thunder, the Cavs, or the Celtics, that seems like the only 3 champs. I'm not necessarily even concerned with that, but give me every game of Clippers Nuggets imaginable. Last night down the stretch, just absolutely Kawhi vintage performance. And man, when he's playing, now granted, he's playing a lot of minutes with that first game going into overtime. And then he goes for 39 minutes last night. But when he's at his best, he is still in that conversation of maybe one of the best players in this league. And man, he was deep in his bag last night. Epic win in what has been an epic series, just 2 games in thus far.
And it's crazy, man, because we started this season and he was limited. He did not get a lot of time, might not have gotten any time with Team USA this past summer. I mean, there were concerns about his injury situation, and now we get to hear where he goes 15 of 19 from the floor, 39 points, and pushes the Clippers into an even series with the former champion Nuggets. I mean, a year removed, right?
Yeah. And, this is not the same Nuggets. And obviously we talked about, they're dealing with some coaching / front office turmoil. So, I mean, this is not the same Nuggets, but this is still a team that's got Jokic, the best player in the world. And so, I mean, the fact that he is dragging them as far as he's dragging them is commendable. But that's what's made this series so fun to watch. You've got Jokic in his bag. Leonard is doing his thing. It's early in the playoffs, so we still get the good James Harden. Once you get to games 6 and 7, that's when he kind of starts disappearing, or later in the postseason. But Zubac is also playing well. This guy had a double-double again last night. He's got some crazy streak, like 16 straight double-doubles. It has been electric. LA probably in many regards felt like they should have gotten game 1, had to settle for that overtime loss, but they got it last night. Denver, meanwhile, in some regards, feels fortunate that it's only 1-1. And the Tide is this LA Clippers version playing like this. Not saying they're going to win the West, but it certainly gives them a great shot. The question just will be, can Harden sustain it? And then physically, how much more can we get out of Kawhi? If he is at this level, they will be really, really tough to beat.
In 36 of his last 81 playoff games, that's nearly half, Kawhi has scored at least 30 points.
Yeah, I mean, when he's out there, and at that level, when he locks in, he is as good as it gets.
I mean, we talk about playoff Jimmy, but clearly there's playoff Kawhi as well. So Milwaukee and the Pacers continue their series tonight. Pacers holding on to a 1-0 lead. Bucks get some reinforcements. Dame is expected to play tonight.
Going to be real interesting. You know, I mean, we're talking about the same. We see the states of the two franchises. We saw the deep vein thrombosis diagnosis for Wemby, and he shut down for the rest of the season. We're not taking any precautions there. Milwaukee, meanwhile, Dame being a super competitor, hyper competitive, he's going to try and get out there. I'll be real curious to see how many minutes he plays. I'll be real curious to see what kind of role he plays tonight. Even if he's out there, it feels like Milwaukee is going to be up against a tough. I just feel like the Pacers are better whether he's out there or not, top to bottom. But he is capable of going nuclear, especially from downtown. And if they can kind of get that version of him, that might be enough to scratch a win tonight, and it could maybe get them back in this series.
Has not played since March 18th due to that blood clot situation in his right calf. So, like you said, you know, how long and how effective when he is on the floor he can be out there will be worth keeping an eye on. So Minnesota and the Lakers, OKC and the Grizzlies also in game 2 tonight. Minnesota ambushed the Lakers out on the West Coast in game 1. And obviously, I'm not even sure you'd call it an ambush, what OKC did to Memphis in OKC in game 1. I don't know. You've pretty much said this is a 4-game series, haven't you?
Yeah, 4 games. I mean, it was belt to ass the other night. I mean, there ain't no other way to put it. The Grizzlies got smoked, but it was to be expected. Memphis has been trending so downward toward the end of the season. They hadn't beat OKC all year. It was not going to be
and the
pretty.
Injuries.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, but Wells being out there was only going to do so much. I mean, it's going to be uphill. John, maybe not at 100%, but it doesn't matter. OKC is just a killing machine, and not a great matchup. On that other hand, though, Minnesota getting game 1, it felt like this series was destined for 6 or 7, no matter what. That kind of maybe furthers it. If the Lakers can't make some adjustments, they're going to be in a world of trouble early in this series. I do think they find a way to maybe make just enough adjustments on the defensive end, especially. If you give up 21 threes, it's a wrap. I mean, there ain't no ifs, ands, or buts there. But if they could keep that number down, maybe claw to win. You feel like you're due for a vintage LeBron game at some point in this series. Presumably that leads to a win. And maybe you get Luka going. I know he had 37 the other night, but he was kind of just gunning for his own shot at times. And when he is capable of getting everybody else involved, that's where maybe they could sneak up and get a win. I'll be fascinated by this one tonight. I don't think Minnesota wins, and I think we're still destined for 6 or 7.
The New York Rangers, the Anaheim Ducks, and the Seattle Kraken are each in the market for new coaches. The Rangers parting with Peter Laviolette, former Nashville Predators coach, and the Kraken getting rid of Dan Bylsma, Bylsma, and I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how to pronounce that. Bylsma. Whoever they hire will be their third coach in 3 years.
Godspeed, right?
Yeah, I mean, they were an expansion team. They got rid of their founding coach. They brought Dan in. They went 35-41-6 this season. And apparently 6 games under 500 was not enough for them. I guess maybe they thought they were going to come in like the Golden Knights did a few years ago as an expansion team. But yeah, so 3 teams at least are on the hunt for new coaches. Again, Laviolette, the former Predators coach, 94, 59, and 11 in 2 seasons with the Rangers. Went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Man, it's crazy the short leash that some franchises are working with, I guess. So
yeah, trying to turn things around quickly, and if it's not working, I guess it's not working. Best of luck to those three teams. On the other end, real quick, man, we had 4 barn burners last night. 2 of them go to overtime, and all 4 games were 1-goal contests. Staying up late to watch some of those out on the wet. Man, the NHL playoffs delivered, kind of like the NBA. They had some stinkers over the weekend, but last night is what it's all about. All 4 games were decided by 1 goal.
Ovechkin with his first overtime goal ever
in postseason, I think.
Yeah, my fault. Yeah,
well, I was
postseason overtime goal. Yeah.
Yep, I mean, they had a 2-0 lead in that contest, and Montreal scored 2 in the third, kind of a late little scramble to push it to OT. And then the Jets were tied with the Blues before getting a third period goal to win that one 2-1. They were all epic, and the Stars got a nice win in overtime versus the Avs to kind of even that series too. So things are heating up in a hurry over on the ice.
There we go. We are going to skip our final break of the show. We are going to go straight into Top 5 Tuesday as Wade and I give you our top 5 NFL draft busts in light of the NFL draft coming up here in a couple of days. So let's jump right into that. Mr. Neely, the floor is yours.
I got a couple good ones on my list, but the Titans are picking number 1 overall, so I feel like I got to go with the number 1 overall pick. And it seems like the Titans are going to pick a quarterback. No ifs, ands, or buts, based on some recent comments from their front office. So give me Jamarcus Russell, 2007. Felt like this guy had all the tools, all the talent in the world, just a kind of a genetic freak. But when you talk about, number 1, he was on the Raiders. Maybe take that for a little grain of salt there.
Mm-hmm.
But when they talk about, they give the guy tapes to go home and study, and then he says, I reviewed all the tapes. Things look good, coach. Thank you for giving me that. They give him blank tapes, and he didn't even watch the film and kind of lied about it. I mean, that kind of tells everything. Man, as talented, I wanted this guy to work out some way in the NFL, but it just never came to pass for the 2007 number 1 overall draft pick.
And that's unfortunate. But yeah, that's a bad one. As I was compiling my list and coming up with some research and that kind of thing, this one probably isn't as bad as it initially comes off, but for the organization and the lack of success that they've had in the draft over the last few years, Isaiah Wilson really is glaring for the Tennessee Titans. The 29th overall pick in the 2020 draft out of Georgia, offensive lineman. And, to your point about Jamarcus, kind of felt like he had all the tools, but it never showed up. Never showed up on the field for him here in Miami or anywhere else. Isaiah Wilson is my number 1 pick.
Yeah, 4 snaps for the Titans. And when his highlight of an NFL career is his off the field issues, that kind of tells you all you need to know. Virtually a non-factor by almost all accounts. He was on my list.
Number 2 for you?
Number 2 for me, if I go number 1 with the first pick, I feel compelled to go, and I got a couple number 2 picks. But Ryan Leaf, and through real no fault of his own, the Chargers didn't pick him over Peyton Manning, but that's about the only saving grace for what we saw out of the guy. Destined for stardom, seemingly lighting it up at Washington State. It went sideways in a hurry. Things got really, really bad for him, to some dark places off the field. Luckily, he has managed to turn most of that around and is in a good place by all accounts now. But as far as career goes, man, him and Manning always intertwined when you talk about the draft, but absolutely a bust by every marker.
On the field, no question. And yeah, to your point, he really seems to have gotten some things together in his post-NFL career, which is good because his NFL career was not very long, was not very successful. Quarterbacks seem to be particularly glaring when they don't pan out. You mentioned Russell. You mentioned Leaf. I'm going to go at number 2 to Joey Harrington, former Heisman Trophy winner who went to the Lions with the number 3 pick overall in 2002. I mean, for a franchise that was really looking for somebody to hang their hopes on, you felt pretty good about this guy until he got there. And he just looked hapless. I don't know if it was the folks around him. I don't know if he just never really got acclimated or what badly. Joey Harrington's my number 2.
Yeah, the Lions. That was back when these young kids don't know about it. That was back when the Lions were the Lions. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Exactly.
So, speaking of, I'm taking another line. Charles Rogers was the number 2 pick in the 2003 draft. And this is a guy that seemed destined to be maybe not an all-pro, but maybe one of the greatest wide receivers ever coming out of Michigan State. And it never panned out for Mr. Charles Rogers, who unfortunately passed away with liver cancer issues down the stretch. It was not good from the jump. And again, a Lions pick that did not pan out by any stretch.
By any stretch. Alabama running backs have been a mixed bag at the NFL level. Trent Richardson, obviously one of the worst, the number 3 overall pick to the Browns in 2012. Last you heard he was playing in some minor league, I think. Yeah, it just never did work for him either. And I don't know if they, just come out of college with no tread left on the tires except for Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram, but it didn't Richardson in Cleveland or anywhere. He's my number 3.
Yeah. 4 out of 19 picks by the Browns on Wikipedia under draft bust. Take that for what it's worth. Speaking of busts and speaking of wide receivers, Justin Blackmon for the Jaguars in 2012,
Oh.
Another electric receiver that you had high hopes for, did not pan out.
Did I see where he got arrested recently?
And he does not look a thing like an NFL wide receiver.
At all. Not at all. Not at all. Is that music? Oh, goodness. Yeah, we got to hurry. My number 4 is Todd Marinovich, the robo quarterback out of USC, again to the Raiders. Number 5?
Number 5 for me, I got to go Zach Wilson. I don't need to say much more about it.
There you go. My number 5, another quarterback, Art Schlichter, kicked out of the league for gambling. Enough said. That's going to do it for Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Join us again at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We'll see y'all then.